The next category is taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is a study wherein we include the identification, we include the classification and the nomenclature of all the organisms. So these are the different categories of taxonomy. So there is a detail, the basic processes of the taxonomy. The first process is characterization, second is identification, classification and the nomenclature. Let's have a look on what are these characteristics. So just see, first is characterization. Means whenever you see any organism, first of all you observe the characteristics which are there. Okay, like what characteristics can be there? The external and the internal structure, the structure of the cell, how the development is taking place and in what habitat it is present, what is the ecological informations, all things you try to gather. So that is the characterization. After characterization, it comes the identification. Identification means you are particularly identifying certain features, you are noting it down so that it can be helpful for the identification of any type of organism. Next is classification. Classification means dividing the organisms into certain groups or certain ranks, and when we particularly talk about the organisms, we particularly talk about taxonomy, then we take those ranks or we take those groups as taxa. Okay, so this is classification, means dividing the organisms on the basis of their different groups, their different ranks. So this is classification. And what is the need of classification? The need is to understand the organisms, to understand their habitats, to understand all the features which they are possessing in a better way. If we are classifying anything, it is obvious that it is very easy for us to identify it, to understand it. So classification is very important. The last is nomenclature. So what is nomenclature? Giving a particular scientific term to certain organism. There are different local names for all the organisms. Somewhere it is called by some name, another place it is called by another name. So every time we can't remember all the names of a particular organism. So for that we have given a scientific name which is accepted all over. And this process of naming any organism, it is referred as nomenclature.